Hey, what's up, guys? So I just wanted to quickly make a video, just talking about how I feel about this laptop here, the 51M, the Alienware Area 51M, and just was it worth it? Um, no, it wasn't. So I paid about, I don't know, like I think I paid like almost $3,400 after taxes and a protection plan on this thing for a year. Um, and the first one I had a short or something with the power supplies when I both plugged them in. Had to return that one back. They replaced it um, decently quick. It took about 3 weeks, so that was good. This is their replacement one, and it's working. This one's been working pretty well so far, pretty solid. Um, so with many different CPU switches I've put in here. I've had an 8700K in this thing, a 9700K in this thing. I also put a 9900K, and then I got a special edition, as you can see over there, that's in here right now. And the heat output from the CPU, unless you delit it, put good thermal paste and everything, the special edition i9 was actually the only processor that's been in here that's actually been able to sustain cooler temperatures while staying at a solid 4.8 gigahertz. This thing actually runs cooler than my 9700K that was in here that came with this thing originally. Um, so usually this thing hovers at about 80, 82, 83 at the highest when it's being benched, and then it'll go down to like 65, 60-ish, maybe sometimes 55 at the lowest when I'm gaming on average. And um, cooling in here has been pretty decent. Fans get loud. You gotta have them at 100% to really keep anything down, unless you're just playing games at like, not full 144 refresh rate and don't have the graphics push, because if you do and you're capping the graphics card out and like pushing the CPU on a game, um, it'll make things heat up in here, and you'll have to have the fans pretty high. Usually the CPU doesn't get too bad. The GPU definitely gets more affected, but it's kind of common. So I don't really feel like the over $3,000 I paid for this thing was completely worth it. I had to get a cooling pad, which is down there. So it's a nice laptop. It looks the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, the keys are. I love the keyboard layout on this thing. Definitely feels good. These are kind of nice. I think these are macros. I don't really know, but whatever. Um, it looks amazing. I love that. I don't know why for a $3,000 laptop they couldn't have just made this glow. That's a really minor thing, but it's really kind of been irritating me. Like, why doesn't this glow? Um, but whatever. And then it has the Tobii eye tracking, which is cool too, and all that. So nice. Easy to take apart. You can get to everything, pretty decently. The RAM speed in this thing's pretty garbage. 2400 or whatever is pretty slow. I don't know why they had it like that from the beginning, but it just felt like a project that should have taken longer to kind of come out, and they kind of rushed it, and it just, I don't know. I was all excited about it in the beginning, but the biggest reason here why I'm like feeling kind of meh about this is because I just sold my girlfriend, because this is our setup. It's my computer, then her keyboard and monitor, her Zephyrus laptop over here, which is a 1080 Max Q, um, and 8750H whatever, which is, this thing's actually pretty nice. Once it's opened and repadded and pasted and crap, because it gets really hot without. But anyway, um, so that's her setup. This is mine, and I sold both of our laptops recently to a friend. I sold mine for about 2,300 without the CPU, and I sold her Zephyrus for about 1075, which was pretty decent. I think I bought it for like 1,300, so I took a bit of a loss, but that just kind of happens. Or 1,100. I don't know really what I got. I think I paid about 13 for it. Yeah. So, and this one I paid about 3,200 or 34, whatever it was after taxes. And then I got all of this stuff today, and to be honest, like, I managed to grab for about 2,350. I got two ITX cases, a Ryzen 3600X, a 2070, a 1660 Super for her, um, K70 Rapid Fire keyboard, K55 RGB for her, 600 watt power supply for her PC, 700 watt for mine, and then X63 liquid cooler. I'm gonna put my 9900 KS in there because I'm keeping the CPU, and I literally managed to make pretty much 2 desktops. Plus, I mean, I already had my own hard drives. I have like some hard drives in here that I'm gonna to split between both of us, or SSDs, whatever. So I guess you can kind of count that out. But even if there was an SSD just to boot Windows and play some games off of, and whatnot, literally about $2,400. So the price of my laptop that I sold it for managed to get all this, and I'm just looking at this thing like, damn, 2080 at a 9700K for $3,000. Like, no. So please, if you're just gonna like set up, I know laptops have that premium cost or whatever, but if you're just buying a laptop to have it sit, you know, and then have it set up like this, like, to me this is a waste. But my girlfriend, it was hard for her to see the little 15-inch display, so we put her old, you know, desktop monitor and keyboard here and called it a day. But if you're buying a laptop just to do this with it, please don't. Just get a desktop. I mean, this case was $110. Comes with AER fans and everything. Fits a decent sized GPU, 280 millimeter liquid cooler, whatever. Like, you could do a lot with this, and it really just, I know it's personal preference, I guess, but it really ticks me off when people buy stuff like this and then set it up like a desktop. It's just like, if you're gonna get a desktop, get a desktop. If you're not moving around, buy a desktop. You'll save money. You could buy better parts, get better specs, have it last longer, and then get like a minor laptop. Get like a, you know, a freaking 1080 laptop these days would probably run cheap on eBay or something just decent. A 2060 laptop, whatever, you know, anything under like $1,200 to like $1,300. Don't spend more than $1,500 on mobile hardware that you're not going to be able to, you know, upgrade or whatever. I mean, the Alienware you can upgrade, but what kind of pissed me off with this laptop also is that, like, more than likely when the 2080 Super comes out for the next generation of it, that's supposed to be out sometime this year, next year, whatever, is not going to work for this thing. The layout of the GPU is completely different from the way this cooler works, and they're adding like a vapor chamber and all this stuff to it, apparently, from what I've been seeing, and this Alienware won't be able to support that. What Dell meant to say was, hey, you know, we have these upgrade options, 2060, 70, 80 for this laptop, but if you buy the 2080 version, you can't upgrade or nothing, so there's just no point. But if you have a 2070 or 2060 variant, then sure, you know, you can get this for, you can get that, or, you know, get this 2080 kit and put it in there and call it a day. You know, it comes with the heat sinks and everything, boom. Also, the customer service is just, I don't know. Customer service is, I'm going to rate it like a 4 out of 10, because if you get the right person, they understand. But most of the people are, like, unknowledgeable and not really, like, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, like, yesterday I called because my fan under here started buzzing because it was coming off the bearing or dusty or something. I don't really know. I haven't tried, like, putting air through it. Because the guy that bought my laptop's going to be fixing that himself or whatever. But, like, the GPU fan buzzes when it goes at full speed now. And if I have it running anything lower than 50%, it gets too hot. I have good thermal paste on here and everything. Like, I applied it well, whatever. And, like, it just seems that when I call them and I'm like, hey, you know, I got the accidental thing, whatever, warranty, this and that, he tells me to update the BIOS, and he tells me to install better software, and tells me that the Alienware Control Center works off the BIOS and it might control the fan differently. And I'm just like, dude, the fan is having a hardware issue. It's not the software. Keeps telling me the same thing. We have to update the BIOS or we can't proceed with this, you know, procedure. And I'm just like, wow, I feel like I'm jumping through a bunch of hoops just to get my $100 service and warranty honored right now. Because I'm telling you, the fan is literally broken. Once I finally sent him a video when he heard the noise was making, he was like, oh, that's not normal. He could have just asked me that from the beginning, but he has to remote into my desktop, or wants me to do that. And I'm just following what he's telling me to do because I'm afraid to do anything different. Because it's just like, oh, if I don't do this, what's gonna come of it? You know, like, am I not gonna be able to get what I need? And then like the first Alienware they sent me, the power supply, like the 330 watt or something popped it because when I plugged it in, it just turned off and didn't work anymore. So it shorted out the motherboard. And then when they sent me the new one, they included like a better quality 330 watt, which is the bigger brick there. Because you know the little light on the old 330 watt looked like this one, and the new one comes in and it has like this glowing, really nice looking light. I'm just like, oh, okay. So I use it, and I was scared to plug it in, but nothing happened to it. It didn't pop at all. So, and then also like the keyboard, like I do game pretty hard on this thing. I'm not gonna lie, but literally after like only a month or two, this A key started scratching off. So that's kind of gone now. I have some nails, whatever. I cut them every other week or whatnot. Maybe a little longer than that, but whatever. And I've had mechanical keyboards before in other laptops, and this has never happened. So this keyboard is like nice, but the keys probably a little cheap, paint job, I don't know, something like that. There's also these like stains. You can just tell like these here from just use or whatever, just wear on the part where my wrist goes. And people with the white version of this like have yellow spots and crap on it. Like this would be yellow right now. It looks better like this. But you can kind of tell through the camera there's like a little bit of a yellowish tint kind of there. But when you look at it in person, it just looks like a darker mark, whatever. Maybe oils. But yeah, so I would say this is the best desktop chip accepting laptop you can buy right now because it looks amazing. It looks way better than Clevo's and all that. But I mean, honestly, I'd prefer to get a Clevo at this point with a BIOS that actually lets you do stuff. Also, the BIOS in this thing is like more locked down than you can imagine too. So you can't really do much with it. You can't access virtualization options. There's not much you can do. So it just feels like I paid a lot of money for something that I kind of wish I would have never gotten. But at the time I was moving and I really wanted something that was good and as powerful as my last desktop, the 2080 Ti and a 9900 KF. Obviously this isn't a 2080 Ti in here, but I was like, this is the closest I'm going to get. So I said, screw it. And, got this thing. So I'm just kind of, I don't know, like wanted to put it out there. No offense against, Dell or what they do, they're a good company. They have some pretty decent computers, but I just feel like this one specifically, like honestly, I enjoyed their R4 1080 series from a few years ago or whatever more than this thing, honestly. Especially since it has like a desktop socket. And also, if you do get a 9900 KS for this thing and you put it in here, you're kind of screwed because you can't really push it past 4.8 or 4.9 gigahertz because the BIOS limits you to 130 watts. Don't know why they're not fixing it, but I see tons of users complaining about a lot of stuff with this, like the GPU throttling with higher BIOSes than 1.50 and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, it just seems like it takes way too long to get stuff fixed on this thing. And honestly, I had an Asus Zephyrus GX701 that had a 2080 Max Q. I managed to flash the Max Q to a better scale 2080 and set a record on 3D Mark. I don't know if it's been beaten yet, but all I did was flash a BIOS, and it unlocked it to be, I think it was like a normal 2080 card or recognized as that. And then next thing you know, I was getting much better performance with it. And that laptop, as thin as it is and a lot smaller than this thing, it has the 9750H or whatever, but I preferred that laptop over this one. Because its performance was just decent. It was small, it was built well and everything. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it with this thing anymore. Just, I guess after shopping today and getting this desktop I know desktops are cheaper than laptops, but if you gotta move around, if you can't be home all the time, if you can't be still and you gotta move around a lot, then yeah, getting this is worth it because you can take a 2080 with you, 2070, whatever you get in this thing. But if you stay home, you don't move, or just come home every day after work or whatever, and you're not going anywhere or traveling or whatever, just get a desktop. Get a small form factor desktop. I feel like ITX desktops are the best thing, like you can buy PC-wise. There's no point in getting a mid-tower, some fat computer case where it's going to take a lot of room and crap and be super heavy. Like, I can fit this in a trunk, take it to a LAN party, whatever. It doesn't have a display, not as convenient, but I mean, at least it'll run better, be cooler, not be as freaking loud, and I can upgrade it in the future. So yeah, that's just my take on it. But anyway, saying bye to this thing. It's been a fun time. I decided to make a little bit of a, review of it. Not really review, even just, I guess a complaint and a more of a understanding to other people that want to look into getting, laptops or whatever. Just trust me. Like, I've been messing with PCs for about 7 years now. I started building them at like 17 or 16. I'm 25 now, and just feel like I'm not really feeling the laptop game anymore. I don't know, like I kind of like I've had many computers, and I really loved like the thought of having stuff in a small package, but having to deal with a problem and then not having anywhere to go to fix it, especially too, just ticks me off. Like, I mean, with this fan issue, I'm either gonna have to like, blow it out with some dust and hope it functions again, or send it back to Dell, which I'm sure it's all not gonna send it back to Dell because I've seen videos of them like tossing stuff around and packaging their computers horribly and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I only got this thing because I was like, desktop CPU. I don't want to be stuck with some mobile crap. I want a bit of upgraded, and the 2080 upgrade sound nice. I was gonna keep this thing for like 2 years, but once I found out that the R2 is probably not gonna, have compatible stuff with this thing and whatever. Once again, they made it look good, but it really isn't that amazing. You'd be definitely better off getting a Clevo or just, I don't know, something that's not this. Just don't use $3,000 to do this. I mean, yeah. So, peace out. Just wanted to mention all this, and I'll be building this project soon with my girlfriend, and gonna have some good computers up in here soon. Peace.